Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Lake of Voices. We are yet again going for another alternative choice to the marvelous Margaret run. Last time we chose to go with Bemelle and allow Margaret to go with the guide, but as I had theorized, not having Margaret in our party led to doom. Mostly because Margaret wasn't there to make the ultra important decision or ultra important solution to the problem of the Nixi, because nobody has a lantern anymore. So she came up with the idea of taking paper out of her book and throwing fireballs. But with Bemelle, we didn't have that option, because why would Kikka or Bemelle bring paper with them? Even if they were to come up with that idea. So they kind of just rushed in headlong, having just their swords and their wits, but, not the same wits as of intelligence that Margaret has, and it led to death. Again, I don't know if that is something that is different, if I made other different choices prior to that one, but without Margaret, we didn't make it. So I'm going to reload our save back to where we make the choice. And in this time, I'm going to say nothing. I'm going to allow Kikka to go with or be left behind with Bemelle and Margaret. And we'll see how far we get. All right, here we are at the decision point. And we are going to stick with our friends. We had a good time. Well, at least what could pass for a good time on the center island. Given that we spent a whole night crossing Sinnlos with all the ultra dangers that happened and the loss of a person, a stranger, but a person nevertheless. And still a very heart-heavy event to know that somebody died that you may or may not have been able to protect or help save. So we are going to stick as a group, and the guide can shove it and go on his own. Just gonna leave it alone. The guide regards me with an unreadable expression. Without another word, he turns around and begins to walk down the bridge. Startled by the action, I take a step towards him. He turns just slightly to speak over his shoulder.
If any further discussion is needed, then you will have to do it amongst yourselves.
The guide pauses for a moment.
If you wish, you may follow. No one else is to do so.
Nothing has changed.
I'm sorry. I couldn't do anything for you.
Oh, so it's not a decision to stay with them. The only other decision is to go with him. Oh man. I read that entirely differently. Excuse me. I'm gonna drink of water here. So I read it as we could allow Bemelle to go with him. I read it as we could allow Margaret to go with him. But I thought that there was the option to go with him, the guide, or to stay back with the other two. But I guess that's not an option. The only other option is for Kikka to go with the guide. There is no other option to stay alone. But I guess that makes sense, just because somebody has to go, right? Because if nobody goes, everybody's going to be like, well, one of us should have gone, right? So most likely to survive. But man, I don't know that I was ready for this. I was expecting to be with the other two, and here I am. I'm going with the guide. I mean, I had intended to eventually pick this option, but I was not expecting to go down this road today. Well, now that we're here, I suppose this is what we're gonna do. So, all right, everyone, prepare yourselves. I don't know. Man, I don't know. I really wanted to go with the other two and just see if we could make it out as a group. But I'm a bit disappointed now. I gotta say, I'm just a bit disappointed. I wanted to see how they fared, but regardless, I did want to see how this pans out as well, and see how Kikka and the guide get along here, or at the very least, we've never gone down the full path with him. No, that's a lie. We have gone down the full path with him in one of the earlier ones. Just it's different now because in those ones the center island didn't have the Nixi attack, so yeah, there's that. All right, so oh man, I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry. It's just all right. Well, man, Bemelle and Margret are both gonna die, and I feel really bad because Margret will probably continue to come up with the idea that, oh, let's use these fireballs. But it's like Kikka's leadership, that pushed Margret to get as far as she did. And Bemelle, although positive, I don't know that he would instill the same kind of push in Margret that Kikka did, especially since Kikka could relate to Margret. And I think she even said, something about how she knows how she feels or something like that. And Bemelle just isn't going to be able to have the same impact because, Margret is going through a lot. And Kikka kind of understands that. And so they've got that kinship on that level. So I don't know how that's gonna go. I really don't. And I feel bad because I know some of you love Bemelle and I'm kind of fond of Margret, but yeah, it looks like they're gonna die. Whew. Okay. All right, let's get Kikka saved and have her help the village on the other side. Margret's voice is quivering.
Please, go after the guide.
She's just, she's got a good heart too. She doesn't know or isn't used to being with people and helping them and pushing them, and she wants to survive too. Bemelle gives me a courageous half smile.
We'll find our own way across. The shore can't be far off after all the walking we've done.
Man, Bemelle is the man. He's like the GOAT of this game. I wish there were more people like Bemelle in the world. I wipe my face on my sleeve and compose myself.
I will wait for you on the shore.
This goodbye can't go on for much longer, with all of us standing still without any light. I burn both their faces into my memory for reasons I don't dare think about. Then I force my shaky legs to follow after the guide. I follow behind the guide at the edges of his light. I walk listlessly, each step feeling heavier than the last. A complete sense of emptiness overwhelms me. I move along almost like a puppet on strings, trudging on hollowly as I attempt to understand what I'm even doing with myself, with my life. I harden my face and attempt to purge every thought from my mind except for ones pertaining to the bridges and how to successfully cross them. I have to survive. I must. What they've all sacrificed cannot be for nothing, and I'm still needed. After hours of navigating the complex maze of bridges, the faint light of day creeps into view. The guide increases his pace and I cautiously follow suit. The sun continues to rise, as does our speed along with it. The odds decrease with every step we have to take. Our persistence pays off when the silhouette of land appears on the horizon. My heart pounds at the sight. It feels unbelievable. I race across the bridges, desperately trying to keep the guide's light-edged figure in clear sight. I run as fast as I can possibly manage without slipping on the boards. We run across the entire way, spurred on by the shoreline rapidly approaching. Miraculously, I pull my feet plunge. Miraculously, I feel my feet plunge into dirt. I stumble forwards, nearly collapsing onto the ground while trying to catch my breath. It feels as though I've come out of a long dream. We made it. After a moment of processing everything that just happened and pulling myself together, I fully rise to my feet and stand tall. I turn back towards the lake. Alright, and here's we go. Are they going to make it? Yeah, I guess it... The guide knows where he's going, and he trusted Kikka to come along because, like, Kikka's capable. But... I don't know, guys. I just feel... like, this was just so easy for the two of them, right? I mean, Kikka seemed to be the most capable and level-headed out of the three of them. And the guide knows the route. So that was not too bad. But Margret, who's down on herself and is doubtful of her own abilities, and Bemelle, who, although most likely an incredible guard and a great companion and an incredible man in general because of his kindness and his ability to understand people and to empathize and sympathize. I don't know, would he be able to lead Margret out? Can the two of them work together to be able to get to help each other account for the other person's weakness and failures? I don't know. Kikka has the accolades to say that she could have done it, and she did in our original Marvelous Margret run. But this time, I don't know. With Bemelle being the one leading the way, or Margret leading the way, would they have even made the right choices along the bridges? I don't know. Fog drifts across the empty, stagnant waters, as menacing as when I first laid eyes on it. I can't bear to tear my eyes from the sight. It's as though reality halts as I stare deeply at the surface. I shake away the sensation. I'm alive. I've made it across. And now I will be able to unite the villagers and remove the brigadiers. But at what cost? My mind turns over itself. I can still faintly feel wet, rigid hands on my ankle, a ghostly reminder of the Nixi. I know the hands are not real, but that doesn't loosen their grip. I wait at the edge of the shore, looking out to the vast expanse of the lake. I stand steadfast and unable to be swayed. I refuse to move on until the light of the sun fully covers the land and the bridges disappear underneath the water. Oh man. I will be here for them until the final moment. So the bridges are already disappearing into the water and they haven't made it yet. That's not good, Kikka. I think they're done for. I think this is it for them. I feel that the guide is rather displeased at my continued presence. Despite getting such an impression, however, he still remains close enough for me to reside in his light. The moments tick on, and the night continues to shrink with each passing minute. I perk up when I hear something. It isn't a whisper under the surface or the rush of the wind through the trees. It's the sound of footsteps. I'm sure of it. And they're coming from the lake. My heart begins to pound.
We're over here!
I shout out down the bridge and wave my hands in an attempt to garner the attention of anyone who is out there, regardless of the dense fog making it impossible to see. It hardly matters as I hope desperately that whoever's on the bridge finds their way before it's too late. The echoes of footsteps grow louder, and I can't resist the temptation to head out into the unknown to meet them with the monsters, to meet Pardon me. Let me reread that. The echoes of footsteps grow louder, and I can't resist the temptation to head out into the unknown to meet with them moments sooner. I step out on the boards once more. My breath remains locked inside as the footsteps draw nearer still. Oh, it's Margret! And then, out of the mist, emerges Margret. The air releases and my eyes start to brim with tears. Margret is alive. She made it. She draws to a stop and nearly stumbles from halting so quickly. She's grinning and almost laughing in joy. I quickly wipe my damp eyes and smile at her.
I'm so glad to see you.
For real, right? Jeez, man. We rush off the bridges with haste, eager to put this night behind us. With that, we truly arrive on the shore. As the thrill of the moment dissipates, I have to acknowledge that she's alone. Oh no, guys. Bemelle. Do we know what happens to Bemelle? Like, if we made Bemelle-centric choices up until this point and then did the same thing, would we have gotten Bemelle? Is there a possibility that both of them would have been Malekaras? I don't know. If you know, please let me know. I just am curious. I don't know. Like, I don't know what else I could have done to help the both of them get by. Because if you're nice or close to Bemelle and he's the one that shows up, how do you split your time between him and with Margret in order to get them both across? You know? Because or is it always Margret that gets to the end here? Because maybe it's because that last part where the bridges like narrow in, maybe Bemelle sacrifices himself in order to allow Margret to get across. I don't know. I mean, it was always anytime you're crossing Sinnlos, it's a dangerous affair, and the fact that any of them made it across at all, especially without the guide, it's like a marvelous feat. I turn my eyes back to Sinnlos, scanning as much of the area as I can see, silently pleading for a glimpse of a sign. There's a tug at my sleeve. I turn my attention towards Margret slowly. Oh, dude, I can already tell with the music. Dude! Her eyes are drenched with tears and drooping with sorrow. Her lip quivers lightly as she shakes her head before squeezing her eyes shut to keep too many droplets from escaping. The tears from earlier make their return. They spill over and stream down my face. Bemelle is gone. He died out in the darkness. I slowly slink backwards away from the lake. I don't want to be anywhere near these bridges. I clench my fists together tightly. Margret follows along as I step back, still tightly gripping my sleeve as if she never wants to let it go. My turmoil abruptly ends at the sound of the guide's voice. "You can't stay," says the guide. "There is nothing left for you here. You must return to the world and leave this place behind." I wonder why sometimes the voices don't come through, guys. I don't know if there's like some bug or something. I've noticed that this happens on occasion, but I wonder if it's because I just take too long, in between the things, and it loads and then unloads the voice file. I don't know. All of my words are stuck sorely in my throat. I'm completely parched and my mouth is threatening to close in on itself. He fills the silence once more.
I expect to never see you again.
Yeah, same here, buddy. The guide looks at me harshly, almost pleadingly, as he gazes into my eyes. All I can offer is a slow, weak nod. I don't want this to be the way things are. I can't accept it. I'm consumed by a whirlpool of thoughts. I wasn't able to help anyone. As I continue to stare at the guide, tears well up in my eyes and threaten to spill over. He gives me no acknowledgement at all. I wipe the feeling from my face completely. I must continue on. I have no other choice left before me. On quaking legs, I march forward solemnly into the forest. Margret follows behind silently. I have no idea what she is thinking now. What she experienced this night will likely remain forever a mystery to me. Without stopping or turning, I close my eyes and murmur to myself, "It's a sorrowful goodbye to all those lost to the lake who couldn't even say the word themselves."
Farewell.
With a solemn heart, I at last arrived at Hemmer. They were grateful to see me, for it was a desperate situation indeed. The urgency meant that my mind was occupied with other matters. I worked tirelessly to help Hemmer's own guards in forcing back the brigadiers. But during the moments of calm, and when the sun went down, I would remember the lake. The villagers were alarmed when I arrived on my own, but it did not take them long to guess what must have happened to Bemelle. Having to recount the terrible story was almost more than I could endure. Yet I know that it will be even worse when I must tell my fellow guards back home. They deserve to hear the truth from me, regardless of how I feel. Margret and I parted ways before I arrived at Hemmer. She did not say where she would be going or what she would be doing. She did, however, put on a smile as she departed, which I felt was way more for my sake than for her own. I hope she is well, wherever she is, and I would like to think that somehow we may see each other once more on another day. When receiving payments for his services, the guide must give report of all those who both succeeded and failed to cross the lake. I was finally able to learn the name of the stranger we met on the bridges, Lou. As the guide predicted, he did not survive. He had requested to cross and been denied. He must have been truly desperate to attempt the crossing alone. I can only pray that those who cared for him will learn the truth of what happened. I have not heard nor seen the guide since then. He will remain obscured in that realm of fog and fear, a mysterious light off in the distance that is ever out of reach of the real world. I worry about when I must return home to my usual self. It will be difficult to continue as things were before. One thing I know for certain is that my village elder must be told that no one is to cross Sinnlos again. I have already told the Hemmer leaders the same. Not a single more person should have to experience what we did. Its darkness will remain with me for the rest of my days. Though so much was lost, I try to believe that our lessons will keep others from suffering the same way, and, in the end, something will be gained. Lake of Voices. Oh, alright, so, Margret was able to get by, and I don't know how far they were able to get. There's nothing said about where Bemelle died or how he died or whether or not he sacrificed himself so that Margret could survive. All we know is that Margret gets to the end, and she's so heartbroken about it that she can't even say exactly what happened. And I kind of get that. So, when we, Kikka, were with him, even we couldn't even get across because we were surrounded by those Nixi, practically right away, and it led nowhere. We needed Margret with us, but it didn't seem that we could get a group of 3 together, so I don't know if it would have been different if we had made Bemelle-centric choices earlier before we came to this point, but it came out the way it did. So if it is different, if you make Bemelle centric choices, I'm just curious to know. And if you guys will leave that in the comments so that it would satisfy my curiosity, I'd be appreciative of that. But yeah, I think with this, I've exhausted the choices, or for this panel of options, I've exhausted my choices here. So I think I am now officially done, unless somebody tells me otherwise. I believe I'm officially done with the marvelous Margret choices. I have been given, I have been told, because I did ask if I got the Margret ending, and I didn't. So it's not the specific character ending that is given for, the character that you're, in essence, romancing. It's funny. Commenter had said that it's essentially kind of like a dating sim, which is incredibly funny, but also very apt in the way that you have to choose the person that you want to get closest to, and you get your ending with them. So I was told that the reason why. First, I was told that I definitely did not get the Margret ending, and it was because I made a decision early on, in the first night, to be exact, that caused me not to be as close to Margret as I could or should have been. And it took me a while to think about it, but I realized there was one option that I made, or one choice that I made, that took away the possibility of us getting closer to Margret. And so I have an idea of where that is. And I believe with dialogue skipping, we'll be able to get there. So I think the next time I join in on this game, what I'm going to do is I'm going to redo from the start our Margret run. But I'm going to make that different choice in the first night and see how much of it is actually the same. So if not much changes as far as dialogue, it'll probably be a really short run. At which case, I'll just make it a quick separate video and I'll just upload it whenever. But if it's a decently long one, I will just give it my usual treatment. Guys, like, it feels like this game never fails to surprise me, but then at the same time, like, in hindsight, you look at it and you go, well, yeah, I guess that made sense, I can see how that would happen. Anyways, I hope you guys are looking forward to the upcoming plans, and that is what it is for now, plans of what we're going to do next for Lake of Voices. After, if what I'm thinking is the right choices, if that goes well and we get Margret's character ending, my plan is to go for a run with the guide, try to get his ending. I'm told that he also has an ending. And maybe in that, we can also learn more about him as a character. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed. I hope you guys are looking forward to what the next steps that we're going to take are. And I hope to see you there. And until then, everyone, bye.